and great good morning to every viewer who's watching the Camnet Breakfast Show right here at Camnet TV, not just another channel. My name is Sarah Muvanga, and I'm so excited today because it's what's the day today? 19th? Before I introduce my...
It is? It's the 20th.
No, 20th of August, which happens to be my grandmother's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday to your grandma.
Yeah, Precious, good morning.
Good morning, Sarah. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to be back. I haven't been around for the longest time.
Yes, definitely.
It feels like I am just starting TV afresh because, you know, if you don't practice the screen time,
yeah,
you're literally back to square one.
Definitely,
so,
practice makes perfect.
It really does make perfect.
Yeah.
But anyways, good morning to you. Thank you once again for joining us on the Camnet Breakfast. My name is Precious Mzea Sakalation, and you know, as we come through on the Breakfast Show, we update you on the stories that you missed out in the course of the week, stories that made headlines that we carried out, or anything that you saw on social media that actually was trending. And I have quite a number of things that caught my attention in the course of the week. One of them is a mother to a toddler that choked her son to death just because she felt he was hindrance to her social life, which is very sad. And also one of them is a 24-year-old man of Kanyama compound that torched his house because of a marital dispute. This one is the one that actually caught my most attention because he's 24 years and is married to an 18-year-old, and they've been married for 3 years, which means and they have a 2-year-old child, which means she was married when she was 16.
16, that right.
15 rather, and then he was married when he was 21. I'm trying to figure out what was going on in that situation. Where were the parents? What was really going on? Where was the community?
You know, quite right. The age isn't convincing and all that.
Yeah.
But you know, there are certain areas in our country whereby maybe a 12-year-old lady or girl, she's already into marriage. Maybe she already has children as well. And maybe an 18-year-old boy, he's already I would say he has a wife already. So such things do happen. And
you're honest? No. I know they do happen, but I feel like we should be past that level where early marriages is condoned, and it should be condemned because honestly speaking, 18-year-olds, they should probably be in their 12th grade, if not approaching, looking forward to getting a place in college. 16. Which means she had the baby when she was 16 actually.
Yes.
If they've been married for 3 years and they have a 2-year-old child.
That's 16. Yeah, 16.
Yeah, anyways, our topic of discussion for today, is something that I feel we haven't spoken about in a very long time, and we have had debates, researches have been done, questionnaires have been passed on, verbal and telephone interviews have been carried out to just find out why we're still amongst the countries that have got a poor reading culture, and we have an author in the studio or in the house that will actually be highlighting more on that, considering the fact that them writing books is expecting people to actually read them. And also in books is where you can find knowledge, I feel, once you get a hold of. When it's up here, no one can actually get rid of it. So we'll have someone to just highlight more on that. And also remember, you can get in touch with us with the numbers scrolling on your screen, or you can actually come through to our Facebook page. All you need to do is just like Camnet TV on Facebook, and we'll gladly read out your comment from there. How best can we improve Zambia's reading culture? And also on the other side, 15th September 2022 is actually the date that has been set for the Kwacha and Kabushi parliamentary by-election. So we're looking forward to see which candidates will actually be contesting for that seat, considering the fact that Mr. John Malandri and Mr. Bowman Lusambo, their seats were nullified by the courts recently. But quickly, before I bore you with what things that caught my attention in the course of the week, let's get into
our first segment. Yes, which is the health
talk, and see what we have on the other side. Good morning.
My name's Ebedi Sadoki. I'm a public health specialist, and today I'll continue talking to you about mental health awareness, and we'll talk about common triggers of mental health. By this, I mean, what do we do that can cause us to have mental health disorders? So I'll talk about three main groups. The first one, I'll talk about losses. When we incur a loss and we don't handle it properly, it can cause us to have mental health disorders. So by losses, what do I mean? There's loss of loved ones, a close relative dies, or loss of property, employment, or anything that is so dear to our livelihood. And the other loss is also loss of a body part. This is in times where maybe illness has caused you to have maybe a gangrene in the leg, and then it has to be removed, and that also makes people feel sad. Some with breast cancer, when they lose a breast, it causes them to really have this trigger to mental health illness. Then the second one is about abuse. Under this, I'm talking about sexual abuse, including children, and gender-based violence. So if not handled properly, it can trigger an individual to develop a mental disorder. Then the third one will be substance abuse, which under this we have alcohol and other substances. So when not handled properly, when there's excessive substance abuse, it can lead us to have mental illnesses. So I'll give a few examples, like on the sexual abuse. I think I spoke a little bit more on the losses, but on sexual abuse, if somebody experiences that sexual abuse and it's not handled properly, this could be a child who might not even have a time to talk to an adult and go through counseling, especially when they are threatened to disclose. So they will be troubled by that, and in future it can trigger, if not handled early enough, it can trigger them to have some mental disorders and would have not known what caused it. It also talks about gender-based violence. I think in homes, some do not resolve their differences, and maybe they are not compatible, and it can cause the other one to abuse the other, and especially those who suffer in silence and do not seek help, they end up having a mental illness, mental disorder, because it's just more than what their psychology can take. So these are also some of the triggers to mental health illnesses. Substance abuse, I think we know that alcohol, excessive alcohol can lead to someone also having mental health disorders, and especially the strong substances really affect our health negatively. Substance abuse, we know there are different types. We have those injectable, we have the ones that are smoked, marijuana and the like, taken over time, and especially starting early and taken over time without control, it can be the trigger. So I hope that we've understood the triggers, and we'll be careful when we see ourselves in this situation and be able to handle them effectively, and when we need help, of course, we seek it. So for today, I end here on the common triggers of mental health. Thank you so much for listening, and this is Dr. Sadoki. Bye.
Well, there you have it. Hope you've learned one or two things on mental health. One of the things I advocate most about is mental sanity, because once you are at a certain space, or in a certain space when it comes to your mental sanity, then you're in good space. But then I feel that if you have mental issues, you can't execute your duties properly, either school, work, or in just your personal life. So definitely, I feel like we should take care of our mental health more than anything else.
Definitely, and she had to say to talk about something concerning that, or something is troubling you, you have to share. You have to tell somebody or a counselor, whereby you be counseled on a certain problem that is really making you
feel in a certain way.
Definitely. So it's very important. So Precious, when one day I come to
talk about your mental issues.
Yes, my mental issues.
When I'm also a mental issue?
No, you shouldn't consider yourself at that particular time.
No. First of all, when you have a problem that is bothering you mentally and you come to me and I am not in the right space to listen to you, and I listen to you just because you've come to me, then I'm damaging both of us. Because for you to go to somebody with your problems, something that is really bothering you, and they're not in the right state to listen to you, then that's a sheer waste of a problem. Okay, so this goes to everybody that has, when you're in a group, we always have that one person that everybody runs to. But before you run to that person with your problems or your burdens, consider how they are and in what space they're in at that particular time. So if you come to me, Sarah, and say, no, Precious, I have this problem and I'm also going through something, and I force myself to listen to you, then we have both not made progress.
Okay, but there are times whereby maybe I don't really know what is troubling you.
Then I will have to tell you to say, I'm sorry, at this particular time, I am unable to help you, and then maybe offer a solution on how you can sort out your mental issue.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's actually very not wise for you to sit and listen to someone's problems when you are going through certain issues yourself. And I feel like people shouldn't, talking from a personal experience, I feel like people shouldn't take offense when you go to somebody with your problems and they tell you, unfortunately, I can't help you, or I can't listen to you because I am not in the right space myself to listen to you.
Okay.
That's also one thing you should be attentive to if you're going to someone with your problems.
Yeah. For that one, I get your point.
Yeah.
But there are also others. Okay, quite right. They might be having a mental problem, but they would prefer to sort out their friends or...
Yes, there are such people, and most of the times it's that person that's considered as the strongest person in the group, because half of the time the people run to them with their problems. But also, let's be considerate to who that person runs to if they have issues. So there are people that are strong enough to handle other people's issues despite them going through issues themselves. That's why it's very important to actually check up even on the people we consider the strongest people in our lives. It might be your parents, it might be even a colleague that has a higher position, it might be one of they call them family chairpersons because they get to listen to everyone's problems. So it's just important to check up on everybody and just see and know how they're doing mentally. Just one. I feel like it should be a routine. Like it should be something we should normalize, either in a friendship, in a marriage, in a relationship, and even a work and family. So yeah.
It's very important.
Very, very, very important. But anyways, there you have it. Hope you've learned one or two things on that talk with the doctor at the Health Corner, where we're just talking about mental health and how well you can take care of it if you feel there's certain things that trigger your mental health. There's some past events that happened in your life, and once certain things, it might be a perfume, it might be a word, it might be a place, it might be a sound that triggers a certain memory that you have not yet healed from. It's best that you actually seek for counseling, or so talk to a psychiatrist or something, a therapist, someone that you trust and you feel can help you get through that traumatic event. But anyways, let's quickly get into your second segment, which is the money market. Let's see how the stock exchange rate looks like as of today, the 20th of August 2022. The euro is buying at 16 kwacha.6 ngwe and selling at 16 kwacha.38 ngwe. The Great British Pound is buying at 18 kwacha.89 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha.27 ngwe. The United States dollar is buying at 15 kwacha.98 ngwe ngwe and selling at 16 kwacha point 29 ngwe. The South African rand is buying at 94 ngwe and selling at 96 ngwe. That is your money market as of today. I was gonna get into sports, but I don't know who's playing and what is really going on in the sports fraternity. But I know there are some charges with Manchester City and the Football Association for pitch invasion that will come to you on the off the pitch with the boys later on. But right about now, let's quickly get into the headlines. I was just talking about things that caught my attention in the course of the week. Do you have any that caught your attention?
Yes. I would say, if you remember one of the stories concerning the child who was born without an anus.
Yeah.
Yes, for that, okay, there's so many cases that we have in our country concerning that, but it's not considered. But the good part about her, she came out and she's seeking for help because she wants our child to be given I would say
to be given help.
Yes, to be given help.
We, you know, that's I didn't want to talk more on that because I haven't really gotten much information
about
it. But I've heard stories. I have seen, you know, social media has exposed us to a lot of things, and now that we have the internet, I have seen I don't know if it's tubes or things in outside. Yes, it's like a tube where waste goes. So I'm not sure if that's the same condition or there are other conditions that is what's the word? Similar to that. I don't know how that is, but we'll have that story on stories that are trending. So right about now, let's quickly get into zooming into the headlines. And our first story is that of a 24-year-old husband from Kanyama constituency who torched half the house just because of a marital dispute. And then after that, we'll move on to the next of the stories.
In a sad development, an 18-year-old mother of one has been left stranded after her abusive husband burnt some of her clothes and household properties in a fit of rage after the breakdown of their 3 years marriage. The victim, who lives in Lusaka's Kanyama compound, has revealed that her husband, identified as Norton Motoka, aged 24, is in a habit of physically assaulting her on a daily basis, accusing her of infidelity. Fearing for her life, she says, she decided to flee to her sister's place after her husband made repeated threats to stab her with a knife and their 2-year-old child, but she later reported him to a community human rights-based organization where they advised that the couple separate.
Kujao takambisa na vintu vasira. Na wauza tia isinku funani, muzakani pa ya denango. Muzakani pa vema mbonya mke yote mfuno nyamula ichi muzakani ilasa naifi wakwatu wakavutike leweze tacho kama nje ukoti kuja warembea na chanichi warembera support ya mwana tumzileta every month kubarembera bambera na mvera na kujo tukache panja pakoti wakangamba kataka pepa pe wakangamba ka pepa tabwera kunutibwa nwaza mpaseni makiweze endisa tabafi pesa bafingira mshopu mujastiza mshopu veze chita mpaseni makiti endestenge unanti bantu bafuna ndogulisa ndemwe tabwerera kuno iya kazendani za upezani kashi bebe bapita so batamanga kakwezi bandotenga petro nje kubwama nje kushoka vivintu.
And the girl's aunt says the family wants justice to prevail.
So ine ni last week umkalamba wakwa isa mkushi mkela nti umfweni fale ikala umwana senge wenu so inufuna shire mwatu ifi tafiweme elo ngaba problem yo beta na feku family ya chaume kula kuine balanda fyapa nishita batwitira ifwe family ya chana kashi kairi nganga tupa ile so ngemu achibana ngoma iro bula bushungali mwipa pantolo alifumie fishimbi nama na ifi bali babiri aishiteto bafi katundu imbale fiose fya mwandalito. So that's why alisafulwa afuma abutoka nukuisa yako victim so we fought the police.
And the human rights advocate Richard Nkuwa says his organization, Concerned Citizen for Justice and Human Rights, will work on sending back the victim to school and has since called on other well-wishers to come on board and assist the victim.
This is high time we should urge women and parents and also the stakeholders to say we shouldn't allow our children to enter into the marriages at the tender age, because these things also they are part of the cause of gender-based violence. We totally condemn whatever is happening right now.
Meanwhile, neighbors have alleged that Motoka is fond of physically attacking the victim.
Maningi kushashaka mbabe tachuke kwa kuchukua sanga lapo na freedom deni kumenyana deni maskando mamuna pasika pesa nzogula pete kushashikele mkazi mnyumba nshimandie chani na pongo zindia benza wanga bopinde saka yanga menga nza pera mnyumba manje
kozi muchinje asembe enze mwana wanu mera chitaso asembe mwachita bwanji mukonkoroka pongozi muchinje
mkazi naifi manje sembe sikuchoka mwatawe sembe sembe afelata.
It is becoming a common occurrence, an everyday thing. Barely a day passes in Zambia without the report of a case of violence against women. Child marriage, on the other hand, remains an issue that requires urgent attention. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Well, there you have it. It's quite touching looking at the situation that really triggered in that area of Kanyama. You know, such things do happen, Precious, but
I'm still confused.
Yes,
how they were still married for that long, and they're still kids.
They're still kids. Not only the kids were affected, but also the woman. She was affected the most.
Which one? The wife?
The wife.
The teenager wife?
Yes.
That the community allowed to be in a marriage at 16, 15?
Okay,
no. I feel Zambia is in a space where I don't know how it used to be way back. Well, I know some stories where certain families marry you off because they feel once they marry you off they'll have enough food on their plates. They'll marry you off because they feel the family they're marrying you into will help them in terms of necessities.
Yes.
Okay, but then I feel we're at a stage in our country where early marriages shouldn't be a discussion on the table. Early marriage shouldn't be something that we can see happening and just ignore it.
Ignore it, yeah.
Okay, if I like the fact that I've forgotten the man in the news clip that spoke of taking the girl back to school. I feel they should both go back to school because at 18, she's still, in as much as she has a child, mistakes do happen.
Yeah, they do
happen.
happen.
They do happen. Mistakes do happen.
You know, one thing,
and looking at certain communities, young girls have a certain exposure that they can't run away from because that's a society they've grown up into. So they get to have a certain behavior. Even their morals are in a certain way. So, well, we can condemn, but then we can still try and groom them into becoming these responsible citizens, responsible adults, not entertaining young marriages.
Yes.
A 15-year-old. 18-year-old married for 3 years with a 2-year-old child.
You know, I think on that one, it's such an age, they do not have enough knowledge.
I feel like how the brain is not yet mature.
It's not yet mature.
18 years, guys, mature.
See, quite alright. Sometimes they say sometimes age demands for marriage. But there are certain age whereby it doesn't even demand.
Isn't that even an offense?
15-year-old, is it 16?
Isn't the man supposed to be charged for something? Because
he's supposed to be charged. And I think he's supposed to be charged.
I'm going to follow this story, and next week on the breakfast show I'm going to come with an update because I feel it has gotten my attention, and I just want to find out certain things. But looking at the situation, having the child, a 2-year-old child, which means the child was born a year after they got married. So now I'm thinking, what consequences led into both parents agreeing that the young lady
should be married?
And we're talking of Kanyama constituents. It's not like it's a remote area.
Yeah.
It's just here.
It's just here, close to town.
Anyways, those are one of the stories that caught our attention. Another story that caught our attention is that of Sarah was talking about, where a child was born without an anus, which means they can't dispose the toxic things that they don't need in their body. So now here's a mother that came through and has been seeking for help. So if there are any well-wishers, I feel this is a story that you should watch.
Looking up his handsome little face, filled with life, hope and innocence, you may think his health as most children his age should be. But baby Teddy Mwanza has been suffering since birth after his mother discovered that he was born with an imperforate anus, a birth defect that happens as an unborn baby is developing during pregnancy, meaning one has an improper developed anus and therefore cannot pass waste normally from their rectum out of their body. Surgery was done on little Teddy 3 weeks after his birth, according to his mother.
Vanatipasira bed ku UTH kuja. So kuja ku UTH vanabwera vakamba kuti uyu mwana afunika kumufaka colostome, afunika kumupanga colostome. So nje pamene vanabwera vamuchosa matumbo pamala, nje pamene anabwambo chitira toilet, anabadwa so chabe senzo chita toilet. So manje pamala nje pe amapulumukira.
He is just 3 years old and continues to suffer more than most people can understand. Doctors made an opening on Teddy's stomach to enable him pass waste. The measure was a temporary one done. The 3-year-old has no control over his bowel movement, hence the reason his mother constantly keeps his opening covered with a piece of cloth. The distressed mother wonders why her son's next surgery has delayed, adding that she was informed in March 2022 by doctors at the University Teaching Hospital that she'll be called for her son's next treatment, but till now,
penze pa 22 March vanakamba nzaka kutumirani phone kuti mumulete mwana kaili apali pa number 6 tizakabwere omukonza. So ine ninabwana bafunsa ba doctor nati so uyu mwana appointment yapaka maningi nishi ingakwanisike kuchitiwa kumuku kuti akankhale bwino operation ingakwanisike, vanakamba kuti ingakwanisike. So uyu mwana kuchokera pa 22 March ufika pa na manje sibatitumira phone ku hospital.
And in a phone interview, UTH Public Relations Officer Natalie Mashikolo says the mother should go to Children's Hospital on Monday and see how best she can be assisted. Meanwhile, a medical doctor, Teddy Mulinga, explains the condition.
If the child has been left for this long, it means the connection to the anus could probably, a large portion is absent. So that is a little bit delicate. That's why they have to create a totally different route, because maybe a large part of the intestines that goes down there is not there. That's why the child could have been kept so long. Because all the children that are born like that are operated within 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks, they always operate.
While advocates for child justice calls for urgent medical attention for little Teddy.
Access to health services is a right for children, and it's enshrined in different pieces of legislation, including the UNCRC that Zambia has ratified. So it is very important that we observe that as a government, and also institutions that are charged to make sure that children access health services. So for those that actually are delaying access to health for children, they are actually violating the rights of children.
Teddy's mother, who is unemployed and has 3 more children and lives in Lusaka's Kalikiliki compound, is hoping kind-hearted members of the public will step in and help save and change her son's life.
Nipempako baboma kuti vanitandizeko kuti nizikwanisako kugulako vamene vifunikira kudya mwana, madaipa, vaseline yomuzola pa chilonda sifunika ishota.
Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Very, very sad story. I just pray and we hope that well-wishers will come to their aid and the operation can be done as soon as possible, because the older the child grows, the more complications he might actually might have to undergo during the operation or the surgery. Anyways, we get to our next story that we can't run away from. We had seen the back and forth with the courts and Mr. Bowman Lusambo concerning his seat as Kabushi Member of Parliament. Well, the seat was nullified. That includes of his counterpart, Mr. John Malanji. Now we are looking forward to the 15th September 2022 by elections in both constituencies, that's Kwacha and Kabushi respectively, that's on the Copper Belt. So now we are waiting to see which candidates will be picked from and which parties will actually be participating, and this has been received with mixed feelings from different political parties, political party leaders, stakeholders, and also the citizen at large. So we let's get into this story and then we will get back on the other side.
Politicians are getting warmed up for the forthcoming by-elections. The Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, has set Thursday, 15th September 2022 as the date on which to hold the Kabushi constituency and Kwacha constituency by-elections on the Copper Belt province in Ndola and Kitwe respectively. On Wednesday, Zambians were treated to a surprise from the Socialist Party, who opted to endorse the former ruling party, the Patriotic Front, in what many analysts say is a political gimmick.
Tactical political move, but it is a decision that is anchored on our principles. Similarly, or equally, we will not field a candidate in Kabushi who will support the candidature of Honorable Lusambo.
And opposition leadership movement president Dr. Richard Silumbe disclosed that the party will contest the polls, whose nomination day is on the 25th of August 2022.
We are participating in all the by-elections, as you are aware. We were not given that opportunity to campaign in the previous general elections. You saw how the PF government behaved with its criminals around. I think we now take opportunity to these programs that are running, and we want to say our manifesto, as you have seen, I've come with it. This is a leadership movement manifesto, very clear with all the solutions for this country.
And Operation Young Vote Executive Director Ges Nyirenda has called for issue-based campaigns during the by-elections.
It's in Kabushi, it's in Kwacha, or it's in Fera for the council chairperson by-election. We expect that the stakeholders would really be serious. And serious, we mean that, for example, the candidates, we expect candidates that are going to campaign on issues and not candidates that are going to be tribal and not candidates that are going to be personal and candidates that are going to be malicious. We expect that candidates and political parties will actually table out their issues to the constituents of these particular areas where they are violent.
He has since implored the Electoral Commission of Zambia, civil society organizations and the church to complement each other in creating voter awareness. He has advised those who are not serious to stay away to avoid subjecting others to more than one nomination and multiple payments, like what transpired during the Kawata by-election.
But we don't expect them to be so much lower than what we saw in the general elections just a year ago. So we expect serious voter turnout by, first of all, ourselves as civil society, the ECZ, the church and other players to play that major role of ensuring that citizens are made aware of the importance of voting. We also do not expect that we will have candidates. While we appreciate that it is their democratic right to file in and to withdraw, we do not expect any candidate that will have such a notion, whether they will be under duress, under whatever pressure. We expect them to stand and contest the elections from the beginning, after they are nominated, to the end until the winner is declared.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Well, there you have it. It's quite interesting. You've all heard much about that with Mr. Bowman Lusambo and the other party. You know, Precious,
I know why you're refusing to come back from this.
Precious, I'm running away from this story.
Let me tell you what's going on, Sarah. I have been.
She's on the interest of politics.
No. You know, if I wasn't on the news desk, I would have no idea what's happening in the political fraternity because I don't like politics. She personal reason.
But she loves fights.
But I love how they fight.
Yes.
In-house political fights. I'm looking forward to hear what's going on in the DP party after Mr. Harry Kalaba resigned.
You see?
I'm looking forward to seeing that story. And also what's happening in the MDC. Where's Mr. Chimba Kambwili? I haven't heard from that man in a long time.
The last time I heard about him was the time he was congratulating the president concerning the recruitments of the health workers, which was done.
I'll ask
that was the last time I heard about
Mr.
and
see how he's doing. I would love to hear from him and see how he's doing. He's one of my favorite politicians. But anyways, that's all we had for you on zooming into the headlines. And remember, you're still watching the Camnet Breakfast. Let's quickly get into our interaction of the day, and this one is from Nelson Longesha, who is a Zambian author, and he's written quite an interesting book. Most of the times we tag our Zambian artists. Well, he's an artist, I would say, that all they do is sing and write about love. Typical of a Zambian artist. Hey, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Good morning, welcome.
Thank you.
Well, before we get into who Mr. Longesha is, our topic of discussion for today is how best we can improve Zambia's reading culture, considering the fact that in the olden days, look, the African culture, I would target some African countries. We never used to write letters to pass information. Our way of passing information was either drums, the fire. When you see the smoke, you know there's a story somewhere and you need to run towards the fire. And also passing message by word of mouth. So let's just get into the modern world now and how best we feel we can just get away from that and improve the reading culture in Zambia, to be specific.
Okay. First and foremost, I feel there's more to be done as far as improving our reading culture is concerned, because we are living in a time when technology has advanced. It's a kind of a busy world, so one should have a reason. Why should I sit down and read a book for 2 hours and things like that? But also on the other side, we as authors, we have work to do. We need to improve on the content as well, because if a person is going to spare their time to read a book, then it must be worth of something. So in a nutshell, there's need to be done for us as authors to improve the content, but as well as identifying really your target audience. Whom are you communicating with? Because every message has a particular audience. So you don't want to be writing in a general. Who really are you addressing? I was telling a friend the other day to say, if a person brings me a book about marketing, I won't be quite in a hurry to buy that book, because how will it help it in any way? You see my point? So when you're crafting your content, you need to have a specific audience in mind, and it will be easy for them to buy, because like, okay, if I read this book, it's going to help me in 1 or 2 things. So that's how I feel we can improve the reading culture, by us as authors understanding first our content, polishing up and knowing our content, but also as people, you know, reading helps you to, it enlightens you, okay? You're able to see the world from another perspective. But if you don't read, you find that you'll be kind of limited in the way you think and the way you look at things. So reading really helps you to look at the world from the other perspective.
Okay, so now let's quickly get into your writing. I'm looking at the book, Unspoken Side of Modern Dating. I don't know if our camera personnel can pick this up. So basically, Mubuku Muliva Malav. Yeah.
Modern dating.
And you can die.
In Bamalav, you can die. So let's talk about specifically this book.
Exactly.
Yes.
And to tell you, Precious, one of the questions that I'm asked normally when I go for interviews, or just a person wants to buy this book, say, have you like dated a lot of women?
Yes, for you to have the experience to put into the book.
And
Yeah.
Have you dated like the whole world or things like that? But that's not true. But of course, part of a component, you don't write a book on dating without having your own experience.
Yeah. So you have quite an experience.
Not really, not that I've dated the whole world, but of course I have been in relationship. Okay.
So, relationships or relationship?
Relationships.
Yes.
Yeah, relationships. But of course, don't make as if they can feel a bad.
I know.
Yeah, but of course, I've been in relationship. But of course, what really compelled me to write this book is the way things are happening in our time, you know what I'm saying? Being in a relationship is kind of enrolling yourself into a university of heartbreaks and disappointments. It just seems like there is a pathway that we people are missing.
You can say that again. Enrolling yourself into
the university of disappointments and heartbreaks. So, but I realize that's not how it should be. There's a component that we are really missing. So I had to scan first my own dating life to say, okay, how really have I been dating in the past lives? And I took a study to understanding people that have got successful marriages and those that really have happy relationships. But I really wanted to understand what really makes the difference. And I concluded to say the difference between a good relationship and a bad relationship is knowledge. Because tell you what, there is no bad relationship, but there are only people that lack the adequate kind of information, because a relationship takes shape of the quality of people that I meet. So if we're able to work on people, then we can have quality relationship. So I was quite compelled to say, okay, I think let me write a book, but also the kind of mistakes that we make in our time. Actually, I've got a chapter in my book, the common pitfalls that we make in the process of dating. In our time, we live in a society whereby if you're about to get in a relationship, you'll be taught more of what you should expect from the other partner. So people get into a relationship with a whole list of expectations, but are we told on what we should do on our part as well when we get into a relationship? But the major challenge again, why relationships are not working in our time, and in fact, the unspoken side of modern dating might be one of the few books that I sell with a disclaimer. And what is that? I tell people to say, in my book, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear, but I'm going to tell you what's going to work. Because the things that we want to hear have failed us. There are 3 levels on how people interact as far as God is concerned. Of course, this is not a sermon and things like that, but I realized, like I mentioned earlier, why are relationships not working? So there's a way that the world has reversed the whole process. There are 3 levels in which people should interact, and I'm going to mention to you them quickly. So people interact, number 1, on a physical level, intellectual, as well as the soul aspect of them. So the way God intends the relationship to be, it's in this way. People should first meet on the spiritual aspect, especially this person that you want to date. Okay, are you able to move on the same page? Because 2 people cannot move together unless they agree. So do you have the same faith, belief? How is your interpretation of God? Who is God to you? What does it mean? But in our time, let's be honest. If you go into a relationship and talk about this, like and you're telling you get the point. You're dating a booster and things like that. But that's how it should be. So when you are compatible on the spiritual realm, you're able to understand, move together, you come to the soul aspect. Do you have the same interest? What are your goals? What do you want to achieve? Because you cannot have 2 dreams that are opposing each other. So do you have like the common interest? The last part now, the physical, this comes in when you get married. But let's be honest, like I mentioned, this is the book that won't tell you what you want to hear. It will tell you what's going to work. In our time, people meet and it's more of the physical. And by the time you get to know the real person, you've already engaged sexually and things like that. And to those that may be unfortunate, you already have kids. You have got 3 kids and things like that. And you're practically dating a stranger. So I had to sit down critically and say, okay, by God's grace, I decided to write this book. So this book, I also looked at the whole purpose of dating. I mean, why do we even date in the first place? Because I believe where purpose is not known, then abuse is definitely inevitable. I'll give you an example. This chair, as far as the manufacturer is concerned, it was used for sitting. Let's put it that way. But if I use this chair as a bed, will it work? Yes, it will. I'll sleep comfortably. I'll even have sweet dreams. But as far as the manufacturer is concerned, this chair is not serving its intended purpose. So that's the same with relationship. In our time, of course, we have all these sleepovers and things like that. Are they working? That is true. But as far as God is concerned, with the whole purpose of dating, you realize we are abusing dating in our time. Because if you are dating today, what it means is that your partner will expect a wife from the girlfriend. And the girlfriend expect a husband from the boyfriend. So we have all this confusion going on, and the results are evident. They're just right before us. Disappointments everywhere. So if you are a person here watching me right now, and you know what, you say, you know what, Nelson, I'm tired of being tired of testing 1, 2 with relationship. You need to get yourself my book.
And also, you know, you've mentioned quite a number of things that are currently happening with this modern dating and all. There's certain conversation the one they call the talking stage. There's certain things that you need to find out about your partner before you get into the actual I will be your girlfriend, I will be your boyfriend, and also getting to understand what's the purpose of us being in this relationship. Half of these relationships that are out there are just getting to know each other. Or we are talking. Once we stop talking, that's how we broke up. And before you know it, the person you think you are dating is with somebody else already. Which is very heartbreaking.
No, you know, it's not only that. You find that maybe you're dating. For instance, okay, let me not give an example. Maybe you're dating your man, your boyfriend, but you find that you're there, maybe the three of you ladies waiting. Then he's going to pick one. Such things has been happening, and it's actually very normal. It's becoming normal.
It's really sad that
I feel like our old way was actually pretty good. They just choose like a husband for
one time.
Off we go.
Just to build on what you are saying, Precious, it's really sad out there. I've had the rare privilege to interact with a lot of young people because of what you do. And just to mention, I've been writing for quite some time. So by God's grace, there are people that open up to me, and those just, of course, I do also have mentors, people that I learn through. But the things that starts happening currently on the ground, it's not things. In my book, I also talk about the common mistakes that we make as far as relationships are concerned. And that is, we don't build a base for friendship.
True.
Nowadays, and society, you know, I don't know if, let's say they see me with the opposite sex just for 2 days, automatically society will think they're dating. They have not been taught to culture friendship really. You can have a best friend who is a lady, you can have a best friend who is a guy. Just friends, basically, there's nothing going on. But nowadays, as long as you've got a friend of the opposite sex, they'll label you friends with benefits and all that. So we find that we date people that we really don't know. So I tell people in my book to say, if you're going to prepare yourself for a person to really understand their interests and things like that, take time to build the friendship. Be friends. What's with the hurry? Nowadays, if you meet a guy by Monday, by Friday you're in a relationship. Really?
Friday? Wednesday?
I think I'll go to a Tuesday.
So Friday.
Yeah. So
I just coconut
Monday we meet, Tuesday first date, Wednesday relationship. That's how it has been happening. I'm not saying that's me, but anyway.
By Friday, you're even intimate and things like that. So we didn't have to be honest with what's going on, and let's not beat around the bush. For me, I tell people to say, you know what, relationships are working, you cannot die, because tell you what,
there are good people out there.
Only becomes dangerous when you don't know how to drive.
True.
And that's the same with relationships. So once you acquire the right knowledge, then you should be able to also have the patience and willing to wait for the things that you desire. So knowing what you want is not enough. You must also be willing to pay the price for that person that you want.
Very true. And also one thing just to add on, I'm glad that you mentioned something about things that we rarely get to see and things that half of us will agree that have not done when it comes to starting a relationship, which is being on the same pace spiritually with the person that you're getting into the relationship with, and forgetting the fact that if God is not the foundation of that relationship, then it's definitely not going anywhere.
It's gonna fall.
Yes, so yeah, I think we should read this book.
It sounds so interesting.
It sounds really interesting.
I tell people to say, you know, it's lack of wisdom to go to a manufacturer of a product or service and tell that person how a product should work. But that's what's happening in our time. Most of us feel we have the knowledge, we know how relationship should be, but what is love? Love is God. So we try to make it seem, we know what we are doing. You know what we cannot do without.
We have no idea what
and things like. But of course, this book is not about each time you meet to be praying in tongues and things like that. But in this book, I'm just trying to say, you know what? Let's establish the base for relationship. And I've got two interesting chapters in my book. The first one is called The Guy's Corner, and the one is The Lady's Corner. Now, why did I write these two chapters? Because I feel if a relationship is going to work, then it will require mutual effort from both sides. So if you are dating, when you read this book, please get a copy, give to your partner as well, so that you're able to move on the same page. But quickly, maybe just to highlight what I wrote about The Girl's Corner. For me, I feel being a lady is more dangerous than being a man.
I tell you,
why
you
is it
say
like
that again. you can say that again.
Because this is the thing. Because if I'm a guy and I'm interested in a lady, I'm the one that approaches. Although in our time things have changed, ladies do propose, but ideally it's me, a guy, to approach
a man is
a
supposed
lady.
to head. Even the Bible says the man is the head of the house.
Exactly.
So a man is supposed to make the first move.
But if you're a lady, you find that you are approached by men, and different men. Those that are rich, those that are poor, those that are light, those that are black. So they find that what happens if you don't have the knowledge of who a man should be? Because society in our time, social media, have given us all these definitions of the man. He should have an iPhone,
real man,
a gentleman.
like that. Yeah,
of course, there's nothing wrong with all that. But what's the definition of a man? Because you're not going to stay with a car. You're going to stay with a person.
Definitely, not the material things.
I talked about in detail to say, if you're a lady, how really do you get to determine who a right man is?
Criteria.
So that's a really good chapter that I wrote. I talked about also how you can position yourself as a lady if you're single, because in our time, if you're single, society labels you more like a disabled, you know, like there's
like it's a disability. What's wrong with you people? What's
so
wrong
people will be asking you each time to say, when are you dating? When are you dating? But singleness in itself is a gift. You have enough time to yourself. You can advance your goals. Of course, you can do all that stuff in a relationship, but there's just a particular blessing that comes when you're single. And also hitting on the guy's corner. For me, I feel, like you did mention, a man should be a head. But you don't have to wait till your pronounced husband to be the head. So you need to be responsible, because a relationship does not change who you are. You come as you are. Yes. So I talked about how a guy can be responsible, so that we have people that don't date for experimental purposes, just for physical attraction, but men that are driven by what they know and their vision. And I tell guys to say, you know what, you're not in the right position to be in a relationship if you don't understand your vision, because vision helps you to pick a right partner that will journey with you throughout that journey. But if you don't know where you're going, you're gonna just pick everyone that you meet around the world.
Na mwishiba ififia Mungu ikakusumana wasanga fyo mundu pa street today I know a girlfriend, a boyfriend. Today,
it should be a process. Like he's
it. There's just something. Exactly. You know, there's just something. There's just something about when you meet somebody. Then you start talking.
Exactly.
You are getting to know each other. Then you become friends. Then afterwards, you say, you know what? I think I like you more than...
Because communicating the same language.
Let's try to advance this.
Not try. Let's get into this. Okay, and the goal should be marriage.
Yeah.
But half the time, the relationships we have been, I can't even exclude myself. Culprit. The relationship we have been is trial and error.
In my book, I also did mention some of the reasons why I was dating. You know, they were all wrong at times, just because you want to please friends and things like that. But for me, I'm really passionate about relationship, because here's why. The most important decision you ever make.
Are we getting you off the market? Are you in one?
We'll talk that later after the show. So here's why I'm passionate personally about relationship. The second most important decision that you ever make after receiving Jesus Christ as your Lord and the personal Savior is the person you marry. But the person you marry won't fall from heaven. Obviously, this is the person that maybe you've been dating and things like that. Yeah. So you don't want to take chances and take it lightly. I tell people to say, if you take life casually, it won't be long before you become a casualty.
Exactly.
So you should take it that serious. And you need to build the friendship in the process. And to be honest with you, even non-believers that are compatible are more likely to succeed in a relationship than people that pray in tongues and are not compatible. So we need to be more deliberate. And the book is here, the unspoken side of modern dating. It's only going at 100 kwacha. Only 100, because to be honest, let me just give you a genesis on how I wrote that book. I didn't want to write a book and sell. My idea was to write a soft copy and give it out for free. That was my initial plan.
That's in your initial plan. You can send the soft copy to every employee here. Yes. I'm getting a book of everybody around here.
Let me finish.
When Elijah Amos decides.
Getting a copy for
I didn't bring
so I didn't want to write a hard copy. My initial plan, because I'm just passionate about writing relationship, I want to write an ebook and give it out for free. So there was a time I visited one of my aunties in Chilenje. We were just chatting. She's like, what have you been up to now? So I was like, no, I've been working on a book. By then I had the manuscript. So I gave her just to peruse through. She was like, you're not going to give this stuff for free. I've read the book.
You have to pay for it.
I love the content, and you can get something within the skill that you have. So the book is here. Others don't know. You can put the book at 200. My focus is not money. My focus is for many youths as possible to read. And especially if you're a youth pastor, you're a leader, this book is as well, because it's addressing the issues that are currently on the ground. In the book, I'm not beating around the bush. I know we are young people. We have all these, sexual feelings and things like that.
Which can be controlled.
We are not strays. But in the midst of all that, how best do we work a relationship in a right way. So the spoken side of modern dating basically is a guide that can help you to maximize singleness, that if you are single, but as well as intentional dating, not just umunguru dating, but intentional dating, and that's the book that you must have.
Mr. Longesha, thank you so much for coming through. I'm sure Sarah has learned one or two things about relationships and how to get into one and how to have a successful one. I know
something to say. Even if you're single, it's that it's a certain period. It's a blessing.
It's a blessing.
It's a blessing.
You're given that time
in a relationship because you are lonely
Exactly.
and you miss being in one, getting one with a purpose.
And as we are winding up, you know, this relationship
under 30 seconds.
It's something that can talk the whole day. Let's be careful on how we use social media, because nowadays, each time you go on social media, you find a toxic message about relationship. You know, you're seeing also going away and things like that. So if you don't have like a strong mentality, those things can begin like to drain you and to depress you. So be intentional, know what you want. Singleness is a gift. Nobody should push you around to be in a relationship that you're not ready for.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, hope you learned one or two things from me and Sarah as well, from Mr. Longesha. We're just talking about modern dating and things that you need to know before you actually consider getting into a relationship if you're single. Well, if you've passed that stage of trying to find the right person and you have already started this, I'm sure there are one or two things that you still need to learn while you're still in it. But he is one of our Zambian authors doing quite a great job in the reading fraternity. But understand, what's the industry?
The reading culture. I mean, the writing industry.
Writing industry, yes. He's one of the people that actually is putting Zambia on the map. Mr. Nelson Longesha, we're just having a discussion on modern dating. Well, remember, you can still come to you on Facebook and via the phone lines that are scrolling on your screen. Right about now, we'll get into our second interview of the day, and we'll see how far we'll go from there.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Business organization or an individual with a dream to register your presence in Zambia and around the world. Waste no time, because Camnet Television is offering an opportunity to sponsor any of the following programs: the main news, national matters, breakfast show, the verdict, partnership of greatness, economic briefcase, business and sports news. For more details, call following numbers. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Rain Glow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. You are still watching the Camnet Breakfast, and today we're dealing with authors, the writers, the mindset behind those awesome books, local books that you see around. Our focus is the Zambian ones, and currently joining us is Mr. Kelvin Jatwa. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you for coming through. Now we were just having a light moment before we went live. Yeah. We were talking about the titles of the books that you write. You don't have a specific type of concentration. Let's talk of the pastor's side chick, the boss lady mindset, a student of theology, a teacher, a certified Zambian. You are quite a number of things.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so let's get into. I have an interest of. I know. The pastor's side chick.
Oh, sure.
What's the concept of this particular book?
The story behind the pastor's side chick, it's a novel, by the way. So the story behind that is the main character is Pastor Chris. Okay, so he's orphaned at a very tender age. Then he's regarded as somebody that is outside the village in Sanfia, so he's pushed out there. But eventually he gets to get favored by God. He becomes a very good businessman, and then he finds a beautiful woman that he falls in love with, and then he marries her. Her name is Judith. Yes, then from Sanfia they shift, they come to Lusaka. So here in Lusaka they start staying in Kabulonga. Things are okay for them until he gets into some squabbles with the senior pastor of the church. Then he decides to make his own church. Then from there, as things unravel, he meets one of the praise leaders, Sister Jill, and he falls in love with her. Then that's where the concept of the pastor's side chick comes from.
Okay, now you being an author and being a certified counselor, being a student of theology, being one of the champions of gender-based violence and advocating for that, how do you split your time? How do you manage to sit down and write a book and also do all these other things that you are?
Oh, sure. It all calls for discipline because, like you have said, I believe in the philosophy that we can do so much more. Yes, and God has given us 24 hours. So if you are disciplined enough to split the time and then attend to this at one particular point, then you can manage it. So that's how I manage my time.
Yeah, okay. Yes. Our topic of discussion for today was how best we can improve Zambia's reading culture. And you being an author, how best do you think that can be improved?
Oh, good. In the first place, I have a different perspective on the reading culture in Zambia. Formerly, I used to think we have a poor reading culture in Zambia, but through interaction with different authors as well as different readers, you know, the readership out there, I've discovered that actually we have a good reading culture, but what we lack is patriotism. Many readers in Zambia would prefer to buy books that are written by other authors because these people are from America, from Nigeria, and so on and so forth.
Foreign authors.
But yes, but they don't want to buy Zambian authors' works. So that is where the lack of patriotism is coming in. So it is an appeal to all the people out there to say, let us buy something that is also Zambian, because you find that most of these books, if you go maybe on Kindle, Amazon for instance, my book is doing very well.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's doing very well. And I've got people that are calling even from outside Zambia asking for copies and so on and so forth. So if others can appreciate the work that somebody in Zambia is doing, why shouldn't we? Yes, sure.
Okay, so is there one thing that as a new reader needs to know about reading before they decide to purchase a book? Is there a certain mindset one needs to have before they decide to get into the reading culture?
Okay, there are so many things, but let me just stick to two. The first thing is literacy. When we are reading books, we are expanding our understanding of the world out there. We are expanding our understanding of things, the way things are. And we go to places where we cannot physically go through books. So what we are able to do first and foremost is to help people have a good literacy level. Okay, by that we are going to help them to have the desire to yearn to read more and understand more. Then, as authors, we need to provide something that is worth the time and you know, the money that they are spending, so that after buying what we offer them, they will say, yes, this is what I wanted. Sure.
Oh, okay, great. Sarah, do you have any questions?
Yeah, only one question that I am having right now.
Okay.
You know, we have maybe a number of people who don't have that, okay, they have that interest of reading, but they don't know how to go about it. So what advice can you give them?
Okay, good. So like I said, literacy, I also happen to be a teacher, like I said earlier. So one of the things that I handle is literacy, and I've discovered to say literacy, we usually associate it with you know, low levels of reading, such as just looking at the simple sounds like ba, baby, boo, boo. Okay, but literacy goes far beyond that. In fact, if you look at English per se, everything about English is built on literacy. So we need to help people to have a good understanding of literacy and also to acquire the skills that they need. It is these skills that will create in them that desire to want to read more. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So now let's talk of that young mind that has an interest of being an author. They have what it takes to be a great author, but they don't know how to go about it and how to, what's the startup plan for them to be a successful author?
Oh, good. There are 4 things that maybe I can share offhand. The first thing is they need to have somebody that they are looking up to. Okay, they need to have a model. They need to say, okay, I want to be like that one. I want to write good stories like that one. That will be their first direction. Then the second thing is they need to be part and parcel of a network of writers. Through networking, they'll get to learn a lot of things. The number 3, they need to believe in themselves and to persevere because the writing career in Zambia is very challenging. So it needs somebody that is, you know, focused and somebody that is ready to persevere. They shouldn't foremost think of money, you know, like what they are going to make when they write a book, what they're going to make, but they should think of sharing their stories. And it is through sharing their stories that people will come to appreciate what they are writing. Then the last thing I would say is they need to be people that are ready to research, to read a great deal, because we don't want to see books which are below par. That will affect the industry in Zambia. So we want people that are writing books from a very educative point of view, so that when they are writing something, even somebody that is reading, they'll say, yes, this is it. This is the time we've been waiting for, you know, as Zambians. Sure.
Okay, now we have spoken about the pastor's side chick, and that one is the mindset of a boss lady.
Yeah. Yes.
What's the concept of that one? There's one, sorry?
Sorry, yes. There's, I came with 3 copies. Unfortunately, as I was packing, you know, in my bag,
you forgot
one of the passengers on the bus, because I came using a bus, said, let me have a look at that, and that's how they got the copy. So
okay. Congratulations.
Good luck, Shanti. Yes.
Okay, so now let's talk about the mindset of the boss lady. What's the concept in that one?
Yes. It has been in the offing for over 10 years, because one of the things that I do in church is women ministry. I love to minister to women. I love to see women being uplifted and then being taken to greater heights. So there was a time when I was sharing with some women. Then one of the leaders came and said, how about you write these things that you share with us? You know, you write.
So that you will put them out there.
And that was 2017. By then, I didn't even have any desire to write a book about women. Then again, 2020, someone again came and said, I like the way you encourage us, you know, on Facebook. So what can you do to help us? And that's how I came up with that. So if you look at the Boss Lady's mindset, it is a series of lessons about the potentialities that women have, the great things that God has invested in women, which they need to bring out and see that they utilize them for the betterment of the world. When you bless a woman, you bless the whole world. When you bless a man, you bless one person.
And also they say when he who finds a wife,
finds a good thing.
Finds a good thing and receives favor
exactly.
from the Lord. Yes.
So women need to understand
And
this
also
more,
that
that
statement
we are
that
favors.
say, blessed is a man, or blessed is he who finds a wife, like you said.
Yes,
So blessed is he. That means
women carry more
blessings.
That's true. That's true.
I feel so superior.
So
right
what
now.
one of those anyway? I wanted. Okay. Anyway.
Okay. So anyway, before we let you go, Mr. Jatwa, is there anything else that we need to understand from the author point of view, or from you being a teacher, or from you being on the other side of a man of so many titles?
Oh, sure. Okay. Well, just a few things though. Doing different things has helped me to have different concepts about how things are done. For example, I said I'm a counselor, and when I'm counseling someone, I tend to learn a lot of things. Like most of the women in Zambia have got a low self-esteem. And this is why you find that they seem to cling only to men and think they can only succeed if they have a man. Okay, and this is why you find that in the recent past we've heard of stories where this person even murders the child just because she feels I don't have money to, you know, look after my child. But if you look at the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ, if you look at the Bible, the entire Bible, women in the Bible were actually great people who were helping men to achieve their dreams. So it is somebody who is superior to you who can help you to be better. Okay, which means that women are by far better than men. And all those gems, are captured in that book, the boss, the boss lady's mindset. So what I am appealing to women out there is that they need to find their calling. They need to find what God has put in them for them to achieve great things. We are not going to have a great future if we have women that don't understand who they are. Yes. Because the women are the first people that even handle the children, that even teach the children. So the first lessons that we get are from our mothers. So if our mothers are people that have a low self-esteem, that will be instilled in us. And therefore the world is going to be affected in that way.
Okay, great. If there's anyone who would love to get in touch with you, social handles?
Oh, sure. I'm on Facebook, Kelvin Jatwa. They can also get me on WhatsApp. My number is there, 0971 968249. Yes, and we even do distributions of books. I have a team of 6 young people that help me with the distribution of the books.
Sure. And if also want counseling, they can actually also call you on the same number?
Yes, counseling, yes. Yes, they can do that, sure.
The number again?
0971 968249.
Okay, the reason why I've emphasized on the counseling is because we had on our health corner today, we're talking about mental health and certain things that can trigger that, and also how you can handle things that trigger mental health disorders. So yeah, I hope you have actually gotten the number and gotten the name. His name is Mr. Kelvin Jatwa. You can find him on social media, and I'm sure he'll quickly respond, hopefully.
Indeed.
So we were just having a conversation with our Zambian authors. Earlier on, we had an author, Mr. Nelson Longesha, who was just talking about modern dating and things that you need to know. And now we're just having a conversation with Mr. Kelvin Jatwa, who is a man of many things, is a counselor as well. So if you feel you have any issues that are disturbing you, you can get in touch with him and he will gladly help you out of that space. Well, unfortunately, it's so sad that we have to come to the end of the show, but would love to say thank you to everybody that came through via Facebook, and also thank you for tuning in up until this moment. On behalf of me, Precious Mzea Sakaleji, Sarah Chandambanga, Elijah Chifita, and also Amos Lungu, and on the other side is good morning, and thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.